Let's take the conversation a step further and look at how consumer behavior itself is transforming. Today, more people are living, shopping, and interacting entirely online, where convenience, speed, and personalization define every experience. As digital-first lifestyles become the norm, business must rethink how they connect with customers in a world without physical touchpoints. So, how do you truly engage an audience that exists entirely in the virtual space? In our next session, Selling to Digital-Only Consumers, the Rise of Fully Virtual Lifestyles, our panelists will explore how brands can adapt to this shift, create meaningful digital experiences, and build lasting relationships in an increasingly automated and AI-driven world. Get ready for the practical insights, innovative strategies, and real-world examples that will help you stay relevant and competitive. Let's give a warm welcome to our panelists as he takes the stage. We have Rob Stewart, founder and CEO of CR Equity AI, coming up to the stage. You're welcome.
Okay. So I'm going to be doing this solo, so I really want to apologize in the beginning because I don't know. Anyway, I'm Rob Stewart. I'm the CEO and founder of CR Equity AI. We are a fintech that is an emerging direct lender, both in small business and commercial real estate financing. So we're going to be talking about like living virtually and then getting into the psychology of your client because of where we are in today's world. If you think about it, when I was a child, 40-something odd years ago, right, in order to go out and do business, you probably got a series of roebuck calendars. Anybody ever remember that? Montgomery Ward, Seals roebuck calendars, classified ads, thrifty nickels, things like that. That has changed mightily, right? We had the invention of Windows, 386 and 3.1. We transitioned to, instead of getting a Windows 95 CD and re-upping from Windows 95 to 98 to 2000, all that, you remember those CDs? Now you actually get downloaded updates on your personal computer. And then we moved into this thing called social media. The reason why I share these kind of transitions with you, at every kind of impasse, if you will, and paradigm, we've had to get into the calculus and get into the mindsets of your client. And if you're in small business and you have a great product, but you're not able to reach your client, you have a great product that nobody knows anything about. The reason why I share that with you is that's a struggle that I face every day. All right, so I'm going to kind of I want you to live vicariously through me, and hopefully I've been on this crucifix long enough where you don't have to pay for my sins, all right? So I want you to imagine yourself, right? I'm in a very very laborious, intensive environment, lending, the four-letter word that everybody out here has had to deal with in owning a business, capital. Just imagine, right? You've got to go into a bank, you don't know that person, you got to fill out all this paperwork, you got to bring in all this stuff, stool samples, bank statements, DNA, your firstborn, a kidney, whatever they want, right? And then you sit across from this individual and they're nodding their head and they're asking all these FDIC, FINRA, questions of how long you've been in business, right? And how much revenue have you done? And tell us all about your business. And they, these are just qualifying questions. And what they really are, right, is to weed you out to say no. I mean, that's really where it comes down to. But at the end of the day, one thing that you cannot deny is sales, right? At the end of the day, that's the only thing that matters in a business. Being, ethical and legal, but sales. We're here to generate revenue. If anything that comes out of my mouth or what you're thinking in the back of your mind is not tied to an RGA, revenue generating activity, you should not have a job. Because that is really the only reason why you work for the company that you own or lead, right? In order to get there, you have to take a step back. And you need to understand where your customer is. So about a year ago, I had built this platform, and I thought it was a great idea. AI, immediate underwriting, all these girls and guys can come into my funnel, they fill out one application, they get a term sheet, and they get funded the next day. Sounds great, right? Well, the problem with that is the industry was not ready for that. Even to this day, I still get emails from people. Rob, can you just send me a PDF application? Can you fax something to me? What? So living virtually has caused us to really step back and re-engineer our process. right? For example, when we built our platform, we were SOC 2 compliant, okay? We had ISO certification, and everything on this right here, this desktop, looked perfect. But guess what? When I pulled it up on my iPhone, I had a garbage sandwich. It was a cluster. I'm a military guy, so we call it Charlie Foxtrot. You can fill in what the F stands for, but it was bad. I mean, it looked like poo-poo, right? It was bad. So I'm like, all right, who cares? Well, I ran my first Google/Facebook Meta campaign, and I pulled back some data, and I found out that my client who lives virtually, 79% of them were on mobile devices. They were not on this thing here. Now, I want you to go back to what I just kind of explained to you. I'm in lending, right? If you ever went to a bank to get a loan, that's a lot of paperwork, right? Who in the hell would have ever imagined that somebody would want to do that from their phone? Right? That's not something that you would plan for, right? But when you think about virtual and you think about actually touching your client, the fact of the matter is this thing that's in my left pocket right now is more powerful than computers in 1995, even all the way up to probably 2010. It moves quicker. It accesses more things. I can move something from the cloud from my phone in seconds. I can send this to him with AirDrop without even putting it on an email server. That's where we are today as business owners and operators. It's not about your product, really. You can have a great product, but if it doesn't relate to this gentleman right here of how he wants to do his business or how he wants to, conduct what he's trying to get done, it means nothing, and you're going to get overlooked. So making that shift, and when is the right shift, and how do you go about doing that? There are a lot of people, and I'm not throwing mud against anybody, who are out there that says, come to me, I'll help you market. We'll reach that client. We'll get this and that. We'll charge you $5,000, $10,000 a month, plus ad spend and whatever else. And we'll generate all these leads, right? Let me tell you what I did. 3 months ago, when I got hit in the face with this shovel about this whole mobile app, I call it the East Coast, West Coast rivalry, right? Desktop was the West Coast, and the Apple was the East Coast, and they were feuding against each other. I went to my marketing team, and I said, hey, listen, I want to set aside an A and B round testing. I want us to fix our mobile application first, right? And I want to set aside an A and B round testing, and I want to test some creatives, right? But before I do that, I want us to go out and get some people that's going to give us some real-time feedback, right? So I went out on Facebook, and I went to our local community college, and I said, gig workers want it. I want your feedback. I'll pay you $20 an hour, and I want you to come into basically our funnel, and I want you to wreck it and tell me everything you like about it, everything you hate about it. And I got a lot of feedback. I got humbled very quickly. I found out that my user journey sucked. 27-step process. I advertised, get funding immediately, but it took more for people to open the app and upload stuff than it did to even get to what they wanted to get to, right? Because of where people are at in the world, and that I will never meet this gentleman. I can see his IP address. He can hit my website and have a conversation with my AI bot, but we probably will never break bread. 99% of your clients, you will never see. And they're okay with that. The best client we have comes in, uses very little AWS space, submits their deal, gets their approval, signs off of it, gets funded, we get our commission, we get whatever, and they move on, they're happy, right? That's the best client. So when you're thinking about like living virtually or having a virtual space, that's really the mindset, right? Going back to it, revenue generating activities, number one, but number two is getting actually into the psychology of your client in order to facilitate that. So going back to my example, we go in there, we wreck it, we get a lot of feedback, we take the 10 top concerns of that, right? And the number one concern, believe it or not, was this mobile app pretty much does not allow me, right, to do what they say they can do. And I called this gentleman. I said, all right, I don't understand that. He said, well, Rob, number one, it's very difficult for me to upload PDF documents on a phone. And I was like, okay, that makes sense. I said, what's your second thing? He said, number two, too many steps. He said, if I can't do it in 4 or 5 steps on my phone, forget about it. That explained why when people hit our Facebook, they hit our landing page, our creatives, they were only spending 1.5, 2 seconds max. They would go on there, they would look, they said, you know what, forget this, too many spaces, not gonna do it. So guess what we did? I had our engineers go back. We did an API interface with Dropbox and Google. So now whenever someone comes on our website, they've got all their files ready for their loan. We tell them, we set them up, right? They come in, they get a little video. We say, hey, look, this is what we're gonna need. Okay, so ideally we would like you to go to a desktop, but we know that you're probably not because 97% of the people who have done this before do it from their phone. It's gonna take a little bit longer. Hey, if you do it from your phone, it's 5 to 8 minutes versus from a desktop, it's 2. So what we did there is we kind of, what we, in the military, we call it leading, but we let them know what was going to be expected of them, right? People hate surprises. Who hates getting the subscription as a service bill for something that they haven't used, application on their Apple bill or their Google Play Store, and you're like, what the hell is this chart? Because it's like a 3-letter and it's got like 5 X's behind it and you have no idea what it is and it's like $19.99 a month, and you deleted that app like 3 years ago. People hate that. Absolutely hate it. In fact, they feel like they've been robbed. But subscription as a service has made billions of dollars off of that, unfortunately. That's why you have apps now that go after and actually find those, right? But going back to it, get into the calculus, right? So when we add value, it's transparency and providing information, right? So living virtually does not mean skipping over the important things of those two kind of tenets of transparency and providing information. It's very easy to do that. But as a tech guy, right, I'm just like, all right, man, cool, just get on here, download the app, submit your thing, da-da-da. But we gloss over that because we're not in the position of our client, right? So we went in there, we made a small video on our A and B testing, 2 different versions of it. We took a 27-step process, made it 5, right? Then we did this cool thing of just linking your Dropbox and your Google or your iCloud. I think we do all 3 of them now. And now our conversion rate went from like 0.001% to 2%. Now we have a metric, right? We have an audience, we have a metric, we have a target audience, we have slants. So then I engage in marketing firms and say, hey, look, I've got a 2% CTR. I'm not a marketing guy. And then my folks internally, they're good, don't get me wrong, but they're not like the best at creating the creatives that are sticky and, you know, convert and whatever else. So now we were in a position where we figured out what our technical problem was. We got into the mind of the consumer, right? Now all we gotta do is just find something that's cool out on TikTok or YouTube that people wanna click on, and we're off to the races, and we did that, right? What I'm trying to convey to each and every one of you is that this living virtually, it's not something that I would gloss over. As you design, you continue to implement and innovate, because it's very important, because at the end of the day, you can have this great product, you can be the smart kid that nobody knows. Because at the end of the day, your boss, your shareholders, your family, whoever's giving you capital or, you know, in your corner for you to continue, in order for you to feel like you're doing the right thing by them, you've got to continue to produce revenue. Now, what did this brainchild cost Rob? I like data, right? So I pulled it, I said, okay, I looked at 2 things on the cost side of it. The brute force method where I just glossed over and did not do any of this stuff I just told you about, that ended up being about a $700,000 loss leader. How did I measure that? I measured that by the number of impressions, the number of clicks, and the number of abandoned loan applications on my platform. I took that number out, I took the aggregate number of what that business would be, And I said, my conversion rate typically when someone hits my website is 10% once they finish a loan application, which was $7 million of gross actual sales. So that was 700 grand. Who cannot stand to get another 700 grand in their revenue? Probably everybody in it, right? When you think about it like that, that's a very dynamic way for you to present this, right? So some of you own your companies. Some of you actually are operators within it, either C-suite or whatever not. Some of you are advisors, right? So when you go and you talk to your CEO or your board or whatever, they're going to say, hey, look, that's great that you went on this nice little journey through the woods and you found out all these issues with the website and this virtual issue with our clients, but we're already making money. We're making great money, right? When was the last time anybody in here ever sat down and did an audit of their mobile or their actual desktop application with your tech team? When was the last time you did it? Sir? The last quarter. Did you yield anything at all? What did it yield? Do you mind sharing? Right. Great. I'm going to add to that. Who's heard of SEO? Four-letter word, right? Who's heard of AEO? Does anybody pull AEO reports? Artificial intelligence optimization? If you email me, I'll send you a copy of the email chain because you're probably going to think I'm bullshitting you, and I don't do that. There was a client, literally, last month, because we did this user journey mapping, right? Sends me an email. One line says, hey, I want to set up a call. Okay, so it's a call. There's a $10 million loan that we're actually finishing this month for him. It was a refinance of a portfolio of some commercial properties. You know how he found us? ChatGPT. This is what we're talking about living virtually, right? A year ago when we started this journey, we used ChatGPT just to help with our AI bot on our website, respond to email, right? Getting back to what you kind of pointed out, we had a very singular, narrow focus on what AI was going to do for us, right? But when we actually looked at going back to the user journey, the living virtually, getting into the minds of our client, one of our team members said, well, hey, Apple has this AI intelligence with Siri. And then one of our interns said, hey, Rob, did you know that, I didn't know this, that ChatGPT is hit 2.5 billion times a day? I was like, what? 2.5 billion times a day. Everything from where's Chinese food near me to should I marry this girl I've been dating for 6 months or dump her? Or should I go and get a loan from CREquity.ai? 2.5 billion, right? So if we're living virtually, and if you did not raise your hand and know what an AEO is, there's some people in here that don't, unfortunately, and I didn't know either. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't know either. You're missing out because right now, because AI is evolving so quickly, I'm gonna give you a tip from our marketing folks. AI is evolving so quickly, there's a high probability that what you do has not been snatched up by like the titans of the industry. What do I mean by that, right? I ran an AEO check and found out that my company, been in business 3.5, 4 years, ranks within the top 10 of AI direct lenders on ChatGPT. So you mean to tell me that when people type in commercial real estate lending, at least from an AEO perspective, I'm in the same conversation as Blackstone? Okay. I'm okay with that. The reason why I'm pointing this out to you is that if you think about how your clients are going to search for you, right? You probably don't have a brick and mortar shop, or maybe you do. but you probably do business in other areas in which you don't have a physical location. So the way you reach those folks is ensuring that you have those sticky keywords, those SEOs, the things that they're searching for, again, because we are in a virtual society, 100% digital, almost. And as AI continues to grow, learn, understand our isms, whatever else, instead of you being kind of the afterthought or not even looked at, as you continue to blog, post, update, audit your actual experiences, you're gonna increase your footprint in that virtual society. For example, in this audit that we did of our processes and changing how we kind of took our users along the journey to completion, we updated our metadata. We updated tags, right? We started thinking about how we were blogging, because those changes in those keywords and phrases is how people search. We started backlinking to things that were relevant to our content based on where our clients were. Again, going from the desktop mentality to phones. People want short code. They want short keywords and phrases. They're not going to sit there and type out, give me a FHA 2003 rehab loan for a portfolio of single-family homes. It's not going to happen. It's too much, right? But what they're going to say is, I need a loan for a fix and flip. That leads into that. So how many times are we actually getting into that, putting that out there for our client, right? So I won't beat that dead horse in the ground. Anyway, moving into that, of the business you've done so far, how many of you go back and look at your current consumer or customer base and scan it for opportunities? Does anybody do that? All right. There's an old saying, and I think even as AI, and I'm just going to give you some tips. You take whatever you want from it or whatever. But in our CRM, we have a lot of hits. We have a lot of just what I like to call false starts, where people will come on, they'll do competitive market intelligence, or they'll just research some of the white papers. We're talking about AI and fintech and tokenization. They're not ready to buy, but they're interested in what we're doing, right? So they're subscribed to the newsletter, or maybe they'll refer a friend or whatever. Well, in this journey of understanding where our clients come from, I found out that we had 66,000 people, IP addresses, that had hit our website over the last year and a half. So I go to our tech team and I said, hey, I want, based on the data that we have through this mind map we just did on this exercise, I want to go back through that data. I want to be able to put it through, so we basically built an API that reverse engineers IP addresses and basically give us a digital fingerprint and contact information for every person that's at our website. So now, because I want to understand where my client is in the process, I have Sales IQ through Zoho, and there's some other commercially available products out there that not only will tell me what this gentleman is looking at, how long he's looking at it, but what he's actually clicking on, and then how I can actually get in contact with him either through his social, email, or IP address. So what I do is I bring him into my funnel based on how I got him on my site, and I put him in a newsletter, workflow. Maybe he's looking for information for her small business growth. He's in Series B. So sending him information about commercial lending is probably not applicable to where he's at in his growth stage, right? So when we talk about living virtually, it's not just trying to jam square pegs and square holes. It's more so in the perspective of designing your offering to where that client is based on their habits of clicking on your website or going through your app with their phone or whatever. And that takes a little bit of time. That's not something you're going to do overnight. But to be transparent, we're converting 5% of those clients that are in the CRM. Believe it or not, right? So think about it. You have capital or revenue generating activity already in your database. It's just how you're packaging it and how you're marketing it and then going to market with those folks virtually. Now, how does AI help us in that? Generative AI, I think, is going to really close the gap depending on where you are and what you do. For us, it's very easy. If I can give you an example, I'll show you how. We actually have, on the commercial real estate side, we actually are into the FHA, Federal Housing Authority, and HUD database, right? So I'm gonna use you for an example, sir, if it's okay. This gentleman over here, he has a ballooning loan. I know his property address, I have all his details. I know his loan's gonna mature next May. I know he's paying 10% on some construction or some commercial building in Las Vegas, Nevada, and it's for $10 million. I know I have a loan product that I can do the exact same loan that he has at 7%, right? I have his WhatsApp, I have his text message, and I have everything. Now, if I just send him a message out of nowhere that says, hey, Mr. Smith, I'd like to refinance your building on Las Vegas Boulevard and save you $300,000 a year in interest, that's probably gonna go in the spam. He's probably gonna think I'm bullshitting. Because I'm sure the relationship he has is with a banker or somebody he's probably went in person with or has done business with, right? We haven't built up that affective relationship for him to say, I'm gonna click on Rob's link, I'm gonna go down this little rabbit hole with him, we'll see how far. He's not gonna do that. It's not gonna happen. So when you live virtually, it's not about just the data and it's not about the sexy toys and products you have. It's really building that connection with the client. And the cool thing with what we're talking about today is there's a lot of toys out there that you can do that with, right? That's not very evasive, it's not very salesy, but will make him feel comfortable where maybe he doesn't want to, do the refinance application through the app, but maybe he wants to schedule an appointment and we can actually talk more about that sensitive business and saving him some money, right? Those are the things in which scale companies. Those little narrow things. The example I just gave him, we did a test launch of that last month for the first time. The information I just gave you about how it almost failed in a lot of areas was exactly what happened. I was like, man, people are driven by money. They want to save. There's a lot of inflation, a lot of, gas is $6 a gallon. Shit, I'll send them this and they'll click on it, they'll just go right through the thing. I actually got on the phone with 2 people, converted those folks after I talked with them, but the feedback I got was Rob, I get a lot of spam. I get a lot of calls from India, no offense from anybody from India. I get a lot of calls from India and everybody wants my social security number, everybody wants to run my credit and give me the best thing since sliced bread, and I just don't have time for that. So living virtually is about, right, getting into the head of the client, making sure they know your brand, making it easy for them, and then building up that one-on-one connection for them to click through that link and take it through there. And the 5th thing about that is over-delivering on whatever it is you say you do in multiple ways, right? So I was supposed to have a battle buddy up here, but he got busy, I guess. Hit the strip a little bit too much last night. So, I don't know the guy. I've never met him in my life. So please don't look him up and be like, hey, man, you got drunk last night, left Rob on the stage? Don't do that, please. But what I would like to do is I'm here to answer any questions or take any beatings from anybody. Is there anything that anybody has or observations or concerns since we've got a few minutes? Sir? Yes.
That AEO that you mentioned, I actually heard about it for the first time yesterday. But it's kind of interesting because, ask chat, what should I do, or where should I go find this? And, that's a great point to bring up because I think if people are not thinking about that, they're going to think about SEO in the traditional sense. That's something that's very much important.
I'm glad you said that. Basically what he said was he heard about AEO yesterday for the first time. Most people, it's relatively new. I didn't know about it till about 2.5, 3 months ago, right? But who's ever heard the term land grab? Okay. I think, with all my PhDs in AI, I think that we have all this stuff going on where AI is continuously refreshing itself and it's learning. And, you could be like today's hero, tomorrow's villain type thing, right? But I really do think at some point there's going to be like a line that's going to be in the sand at some point, especially where everybody's going to kind of move away from like the API call and pay by tokens and stuff like that to more smaller, language models on your localized drive or whatever. And I think the companies that continuously show up in these searches and these queries are going to kind of embed themselves, right? There's a competitor of ours. I'm not going to give you the name of it, but they've been around since 1997. Their product sucks, but sorry. Okay. Yeah. So they've been around since '97. They're the OGs of like commercial lending, and you could probably look them up. But their website looks like it was built on what was the thing before? I don't even know the thing. We're on React now. I'm getting ready to go to something else. But what does everybody use before that? I don't know. Anyway, sorry. Yes. Oh my God. So they're on this like Windows DOS built website. It's pretty bad. And anyway, but if you go back and you actually do like Google search, these guys had this domain since like literally like 1998. And because of what we built, right, we could get in there and get all that IP traffic they've had for 45 years and probably do some damage with that, right? So I think the guy's going to probably go out of business. And if he does, I want to buy his domain, but I'm not going to tell him that until he like punches out. But going back to that, what I was trying to get there is that I think if you are putting AEO in the forefront right now, and you're doing the things that the AI engine is picking up, right? Running the AEO report and the SEO report to see exactly where the deficiencies are and optimizing your pages. Like for example, we in our site mapping, there were pages like ghost pages that we had updated and done revisions and transitioned over to a new like web form and stuff like that, but was still showing up. And that was preventing the artificial intelligence bot from crawling our site, which was not allowing those keywords to show up in AEO. So we immediately got rid of that, went back to the organic search keywords that people were looking for, and within about 72 hours, so started to kind of crawl back into the search query, right? And those are the types of things that you have to do. Unfortunately, Google and Bing and all these other kind of guys or whatever not, they search when you're not awake. They do it at night and whatever in weird times, and you have to stay relevant with that. So that's something that is like a continual battle that you're just gonna have to kind of get through it or whatever. Any more like questions or concerns? No? Yes, sir.
Talk about AEO. When the AEO search term, stories first started about 6 months ago, the big thing was for companies that had physical product. They're selling on eBay or Amazon or whatever.
Yes, sir.
They're using those physical products to, move inventory or be seen.
Yes, sir.
There's another component of that you have to do. You mentioned white papers, because an AI would rather go through white papers than try. It still has a challenge with crawling web pages,
It does.
but it will go through those white pages and infer language from that. And so it can take a certain term, like the one you mentioned that's really long, and it can find that relevant data in those white papers.
Correct.
So the challenge was, okay, I don't have a physical product, but I want my site to engage that way.
Yeah.
So there are actually ways that you can go in. Let's say you have a subscription model,
Yep.
okay? And you can go in and create it like a product, create it like a subscription, and then that AEO can work to
And pull it through that? Oh, wow.
Sort of like it's almost like, hey, let my MTP talk to your MTP. Let's get along.
Yeah.
A little nerdy, but
No. And you make a good point. I'll give you another nugget too that because I hired a firm to actually audit our stuff after we did it because I wanted to make sure I was doing it right because I have no idea what I was doing at the time. Still don't, but I fake it till the small short descriptions that you put about that white paper or that product you know, that has a lot of weight, right? And then here's another thing. Trustpilot, I don't know if Google Search Console has done it yet, but Trustpilot, for like $300 a month, $400 a month, you can actually API your reviews of those products back to your webpage. Now, we did that, and we went on this gift card palooza. I'll make it short, but we went on this gift card palooza where we were offering clients that had good reviews to go in, but they had to we were asking them, prompting them to select a certain review, and then that would automatically go into the thing. We had a couple people do it, so whatever. But what that did was that helped on the AEO side because it posted back on our back end, and it ranked us because it was organic, it was fresh, had the keywords involved in it, and it allowed the AI engine to crawl that. And that's constantly like updating about our service. Now, it could be done very, very easily for a product as well. So.
It's on a territory that's a lot cheaper than advertising.
A lot cheaper, yeah. And like I said, we found out a product that was broken, we fixed it, and like within 3 months got, a closed transaction off of it. So, I mean, it's paid for itself over and over again already. Yeah. Great point, though. It does. Thank you. Ma'am, yes?
So you mentioned that you mentioned that you, hi, we know everybody now. You mentioned that you kind of were doing ongoing scans of your database to find, prospect opportunities, and then obviously when you pull an average to that, most people just ignored it because they thought you were spam. Did you find a real enduring solution to that problem? I might have missed it.
Yeah, that's a great question. What we ended up doing when we went back through the database, we found two things. We basically bucketed them into two categories. One of them was we just sucked at follow-up, which that was probably 95%. And the other one was we found out we had people who were just, like they're just kicking tires, they just weren't there, right? But what my marketing team came up with, they said, hey, Rob, look, we believe that we can repurpose all these leads for very cheap. And I was like, whatever. I believe when I see it. So we got with this firm called Get Ambassador, right? They do Airbnb, Uber, I think. They've got a couple different affiliate marketing, large volume clients. I talked to their CEO, nice guy. And he said, yeah, man, you should bring these people into your affiliate marketing thing. No idea what affiliate marketing was. Had to go take a class on it, whatever. And found out that even though we really were terrible at following up with these 60,000 people that hit our website in the last year and a half, people like money, a lot. So we went out with this drip campaign with these 60-some thousand people and signed up like 500 affiliate marketers. Again, going back to him as far as how, this is a cheap way of advertising. And they got paid a 20% referral fee on our origination fees. I'm giving you this as an example because we turn business and we have an army of marketers out of just ghost data, right? So when you look, going back to it, right? When you look at this data that sits in your database, you can dual weaponize this. If you come out with a new product or service and you were terrible, you can even say it. Listen, I actually wrote a heartfelt email with a video. Hey, listen, we suck. We were terrible. I'm the CEO. I'm sorry. We did not follow up with you. What can we do to earn your business? Believe it or not, that actually resonated with a lot of people. I was like, wow, okay, please, sorry, thanks. It's like the 3 most powerful languages in the English language. But anyway, I wrote that to them. And I said, oh, by the way, if you'll give us a second opportunity, here's the little discount thing we gave them on their appraisal fee for their real estate thing. But if you have a friend or family who you're willing to entrust us, even though we ignored you, we'll give you a 20% referral fee. We had a lot of response to that, right? That has worked really well. And the amount of money I spent on that, probably less than $5,000, right? I mean, it's the data that we have with AI, and I'm going to close this out. How did I get there, right? You're probably like, man, these are great ideas. or not. You probably don't think it's great. But I literally wrote it into Monica at the time. I was using Monica, and I said, "Hey, listen, I have these leads. This is what I do. How do I purpose these in a way where I can turn these into revenue-generating activities?" And the number one thing she said was an affiliate program. Who knew? So I will tell you that there is golden gems that are in your current database. And I'm gonna close this out with this. It is a lot cheaper to go with the devil you know than the one you don't. Meaning that if you already have done business, somebody's quasi-familiar with your brand, was on the fence, and you and this other guy, but for whatever reason at the time it just didn't happen, take a look, right? Go back through those folks and you'd be surprised, right? Maybe coming at a different angle. We now have a workflow, just to let you know, we have a workflow now that if a client comes in, we have you can Google this. It's called the 8x8 AIDA Awareness, Interest, Decision Act. So we do an 8x8 module. So if you come into our funnel now and you have to consent to it, but if you come in and you get information, you're gonna get contacted 8 times over the next 8 weeks. What we found out when we do that, we have a 30% conversion rate of that person. And then over a 12-week cycle, we'll contact you another 10 or 12 times or whatever to convert another 10%. So the 8x8 AIDA model, especially for cold leads, people who have already kind of hit your website and know your brand, it works, man. I mean, I don't know if it's gonna work for you, but it works for me. And I will tell you that it's not intrusive because you're providing value, and it's not like a forward way of just selling him. Hey, look, come back to us, we'll give you free perfume. It's providing them value-added information about your product, what's going on in your industry, how they can save time, money, or whatever else by using your product. Weaving it in there, not just being forward and direct. Now, it does increase and get more salesy as the funnel goes on, progressive with discounts and stuff like that. But just getting them back interest and getting back to your website is really what you're trying to do. Okay. Any other questions, comments, concerns? Rotten Tomatoes? Any other? Yes, ma'am. The what now? The what now? Oh, Get Ambassador. Yeah, if you want, I can give you the name of the account exec. I think she gets paid a commission. Nice lady too. I can hook you up with her. Name is Helma. She's really helped us out on capturing revenue. And I'll tell you that Get Ambassador, and there's a whole bunch of affiliate marketing platforms out there. The reason why we chose Get Ambassador is they have a really, really nice API feed. So we're able to not only understand our virtual clients, but also our virtual marketing, we call them marketing warriors. So where are they posting our affiliate links the most? Is it Facebook? Is it TikTok? Is it LinkedIn or whatever, right? So that on the marketing side and getting back into the calculus, our marketing team can create creatives that have a better CTR for that affiliate so that they can post our brand on their Facebook or YouTube channel, whatever they're doing, and have more CTR, right? And then what kinds of people? We've got people that are in the financial industry. We've got folks that are in the insurance industry. We've got people that are just stay-at-home moms. So we generate our content for their affiliate toolkit based on who they are and where they're going to be posting at. And that affiliate, the Get Ambassador affiliate program, has a really nice dashboard that allows you to really drill down that data. If you're a data girl or guy, highly recommend it because it provides us a really nice dashboard of a lot of information. And it's like $2,000 a year. So just to give you a background about me before I close up, CR Equity AI was born from my kitchen table in 2021. I wanted to provide access to people to have capital in a rapid, innovative way through their phone or their desktop without having to beat themselves and drop their pants whenever they went to banks. And more importantly than that, in 2025, we increased our revenue 414%. I became an Inc. 5000 company. I never took any debt on my company. I bootstrapped it. It nearly cost me my marriage. I had to take a second mortgage out of my house. I poured into my business. The reason why I share that with you is that I spend and I give you advice because it's what I did. It may not be the best thing for you, right? But it prudently got me to the finish line and allowed me to come up here and get tomatoes thrown at me by you guys. So if you have any other questions, please feel free to reach out to me. I'll give you my email. It's Rob, R-O-B, at CR, it's like Charlie Romeo, equity, EQUITY.ai. And our website is www.crequity.ai. And if I can connect, help, save you from throwing yourself on the railroad tracks, whatever, I'm more than happy to do that. Thank you.